Ever heard of a war so big it was fought on 5 continents and rendered the map of the world? It wasn't World War One or Two. It was the 7 Years' War, a global mega conflict that historians often call the real First World War. From 1756 to 1763, empires clashed in Europe, North America, the Caribbean, India, and even the Philippines. This wasn't just a squabble over a piece of land. It was a battle for global supremacy, a dramatic story of ambition, betrayal, and revolution that set the stage for the modern world. So, how did this massive conflict ignite? As sparks flew long before 1756, in Europe, tensions were simmering. Austria, still stinging from losing the rich province of Silesia to Prussia in a previous war, was plotting its revenge. The formidable Empress Maria, Teresa of Austria, was determined to reclaim her lost territory from the brilliant but audacious King Frederick the Great of Prussia. This rivalry was the powder keg. To get her revenge, Maria Theresa masterfully engineered a diplomatic revolution. For centuries, France and Austria had been bitter enemies. But Maria Theresa, through cunning diplomacy, flipped the script. She forged an alliance with her old foe, France, and also brought Russia into her corner. Their goal was simple: to crush Prussia and dismantle Frederick's rapidly growing kingdom. Frederick, seeing the storm clouds gathering, knew he couldn't wait to be attacked. He decided to strike first. In a bold and preemptive move in August 1756, he invaded Saxony, an ally of Austria, officially kicking off the European theater of the war. Meanwhile, halfway across the world, another rivalry was reaching its boiling point. Great Britain and France were locked in a fierce competition for colonial dominance, especially in North America. The Ohio River Valley, a vast and resource-rich territory, became the flashpoint. French colonists had established a network of forts to control the fur trade, which clashed directly with the westward expansion of the British colonies. Skirmishes had been breaking out for years. You might have heard of a young Virginian officer named George Washington. In 1754, his small force ambushed a French patrol, an event that escalated tensions dramatically. This colonial conflict, known as the French and Indian War in America, was already a full-blown war by the time fighting officially started in Europe. When news of Frederick's invasion of Saxony reached London and Paris, these two separate conflicts merged into one colossal global war. Britain, seeing an opportunity, allied with Prussia. They would fund Frederick's fight in Europe to keep France distracted, while they focused their main effort on seizing France's colonies and crippling its navy. The stage was set for a worldwide showdown. In Europe, the war was a brutal seesaw. Frederick the Great of Prussia, despite being outnumbered, proved himself to be a military genius. At battles like Rossbach and Leuthen in 1757, he achieved stunning victories against larger French and Austrian armies, using innovative tactics and the iron discipline of his soldiers. His ability to move his army quickly and strike decisively earned him the nickname the Great. He became a legend, a symbol of Prussian military might. But Frederick couldn't be everywhere at once. While he was winning in the west, the Russians were advancing from the east, even occupying his capital, Berlin, for a short time. The Austrians were relentless, and the Swedes also joined the fight against him. For years, Prussia was pushed to the brink of collapse. Frederick's resources were dwindling, his armies were exhausted, and at times even he fell into despair, contemplating suicide. He was saved by what he called the miracle of the House of Brandenburg in 1762. Tsarina Elizabeth of Russia died, and her successor, Peter III, was a huge admirer of Frederick. He immediately pulled Russia out of the war and even allied with Prussia. This incredible turn of events saved Frederick and his kingdom from certain destruction. While Frederick was fighting for his life in Europe, the British were executing their global strategy with remarkable success. This was largely thanks to one man, William Pitt the Elder, as Britain's political leader. Pitt had a clear vision: defeat France by targeting its colonies and its trade. He poured money into the Royal Navy, transforming it into an unstoppable force that dominated the seas. The year 1759 became known in Britain as the Annus Mirabilis, or the Year of Miracles. British forces achieved victory after victory across the globe. In North America, the pivotal moment came at the Battle of the Plains of Abraham, just outside Quebec City. In a daring amphibious assault, British General James Wolfe led his troops up a steep cliff under the cover of darkness to surprise the French. The ensuing battle was short but decisive. Both Wolfe and the French commander, the Marquis de Montcalm, were mortally wounded, but the British captured Quebec, effectively ending French control in Canada. The victories didn't stop there. In India, the British East India Company, led by the ambitious Robert Clive, defeated French forces and their Indian allies at the Battle of Plassey. This victory laid the foundation for British colonial rule in India, which would last for nearly 200 years. The Royal Navy also smashed the French fleets at the Battle of Lagos and Quiberon Bay, preventing any possibility of a French invasion of Britain and securing control of the Atlantic trade routes. Britain had systematically dismantled the French colonial empire piece by piece. By 1763, all sides were exhausted. The war had been incredibly costly in both lives and treasure. Peace negotiations began, leading to the Treaty of Paris and the Treaty of Hubertusburg. The results were transformative. The Treaty of Hubertusburg essentially ended the war in Europe, confirming Prussia's control over Silesia. Frederick the Great had survived against all odds, and Prussia was now recognized as a major European power, setting the stage for the eventual unification of Germany a century later. But the most dramatic changes came from the Treaty of Paris. France was forced to cede almost all of its territory in North America to Britain. Canada was gone. All its land east of the Mississippi River was gone. In the Caribbean, it lost several valuable sugar islands. In India, its influence was shattered. Spain, which had entered the war late on France's side, had to give Florida to Britain. In a single treaty, Great Britain had become the world's undisputed colonial superpower. The British Empire, on which the sun would supposedly never set, had truly begun. The consequences of the 7 Years' War were immense and far-reaching. While Britain celebrated its victory, the cost of the war had been staggering. To pay off its massive war debts, the British government decided to impose new taxes on its American colonies. Acts like the Stamp Act and the Townshend Acts were met with fierce resistance. Colonists argued that they shouldn't be taxed without representation in the British Parliament. This dispute over taxes and rights would escalate over the next decade, ultimately leading to the American Revolution in 1775. So, in a way, Britain's victory in the 7 Years' War directly sowed the seeds of the loss of its most valuable colonies. France, humiliated and stripped of its empire, was burning with a desire for revenge. This desire would lead them to support the American colonists during their revolution, a costly intervention that, while successful in hurting Britain, pushed the French monarchy itself to the brink of bankruptcy. This financial crisis became a major trigger for the French Revolution in 1789. The world we live in today was profoundly shaped by these events. The dominance of the English language, the political map of North America, the rise of Prussia, and the fall of the old French monarchy all can be traced back to this colossal 18th century conflict. It is a gripping story of how a struggle for a patch of land in Silesia and a dispute over the Ohio Valley spiraled into a global war that changed the destiny of empires and continents. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey into the past interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the pivotal moments of history. Let us know in the comments what historical event you'd like to see us cover next.